So I'm a PC gamer, not hardcore. Sometimes I go a long time without playing at all. But over the last 10 years, I mostly play Skyrim. Just I bought several games. My Steam library is kind of big. I'll drop money on, mainstream games, try to play it, turn it off, go back to Skyrim. You know, I just love it. I like character creation, um, and that gives you plenty of that. Any way you want it, you can have it. Um, I got my stats here. I've put 1,788 hours into Skyrim over the last 10 years. I mean, it seems like a lot to me, but for some of you really hardcore people, that probably ain't good enough numbers for you. But that's how. And I've also, in that same time period, not 10 years, but a few, I've put a little over 1,000 into Fallout 4. Same game engine, same kind of mechanics. Well, now I'm trying to play Elden Ring. I've got less than 10 hours into it at this point, the time of this shooting, and I have some thoughts. Yeah, so I'm accustomed to a keyboard and mouse control. Never used a controller ever on PC. I probably used it way back when on PlayStation 2, where you kind of had to, at least at first. But so there's a lot of challenges, a lot of differences between Skyrim and Elden Ring. But, ever since I've done countless playthroughs of Skyrim and rolled probably over 100 characters, I've been looking for a replacement, something to scratch that RPG itch. But everything falls short. I guess I'm in a weird position where I I want the keyboard and mouse control, and I prefer to be able to toggle between first and third person. Well, Elden Ring is third person only, so that was a challenge for me to get used to that, and I'm starting to come around to that. And Elden Ring is primarily set up for a controller. It has key bindings you can set, but by default, everything is controller based. All of the hints that it gives you, which doesn't give you a lot, but the game control hints it gives you are all controller centric. You can go into the settings and change that, and I did. And I found a really good YouTube video that walked through the key bindings to make this game feel more like a real, what I consider a real PC game, which is keyboard and mouse. Uh, so I'll put a link down in the doo down there to that video. This guy has a pretty great setup for keyboard bindings and keyboard and mouse bindings. I followed all his, and I just made a couple little tweaks, but mostly stayed with what he's using in that video, which works really good. Um, and I'm used to difficulty levels. I mean, as much time as I've got in Skyrim now, I'm playing at master or higher, difficulty. I think there's about 5 or 6 levels in Skyrim. Um, I certainly didn't start there though. Of course, Skyrim is just a walk in the park compared to Elden Ring. Elden Ring is from Software. That's kind of a who's on first thing if you don't realize that the name of the company is From Software. I'm surprised someone hasn't done a skit on that yet. Maybe I will. I don't know. But anyway, it's From Software. It's mostly a Japanese studio, I believe. And, I was watching Shadiversity's video. Maybe I'll put a link to that down there too, where he talks about why all of the Western style weaponry in the game are mostly handled pretty wrong. They're, like a two-handed sword in real history was not all that heavy. You didn't need to be Arnold Schwarzenegger to wield that. They were normal people in medieval times that used those weapons. They weren't that heavy. But apparently whoever designed the animations for this, has no real knowledge and didn't bother to research it either because, man, when they swing the two-handed sword, they overswing, they telegraph all their moves, and it's just, Shad explains it way better than I can. I'll put a link down below for that if anybody wants to check that out, if anyone cares. But now you contrast that to the handling of the Japanese style weaponry. The katana is the main one I was interested in. It's done very well. So whoever did that either actually did the research or had a pretty good knowledge of how real life katanas work. So that's one of the things I decided to go after. I'll play the game. I want it to look good and as real as I can in a fantasy. So I'm going to go for a katana build. Specifically, I want that moonlight. I forget what it's called, but I'm desperately trying to get that thing now, and of course, I keep getting killed. So I mean, that's unless you've been hiding under a rock, you've probably seen countless Elden Ring videos by now, and that's the main problem with it is it kills you over and over and over again. You might say Elden Ring has one difficulty level, and that level is brutal, um, extremely brutal. I mean, another challenge and differences between the two. As a Bethesda game player, I'm used to saving and saving frequently. Why not? I mean, who wants to lose the progress? You've explored, miles and miles of dungeon or tunnels or whatever countryside, and one wrong move, you're dead instantly. So I mean, I think the term is save scumming, where you just keep saving. You don't go too far, save it again, save, 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 quick save. Well, Elden Ring doesn't work like that at all. They have these little sites of grace. It's like the campfire mechanic from the Souls games, which many people say, well, this is a Souls game. This is an evolution of that. Well, I tried Dark Souls. I think it was 3. I lasted maybe 2 hours, and I was done with that. I mean, it was just absolutely brutal and unforgiving. And this has some of that, but it's a step forward for this game company, I think, um, because at this time of the shooting, I'm less than 10 hours in, and it's difficult. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's hard, but I'm still trying, and I'm gonna keep going. Uh, so, yeah, the challenges and the differences are vast. Fortunately, with the correct key bindings, chiefly WASD for my left hand, um, I'm getting to where I can control the game um, fairly effectively, and I'm starting to get used to the third person. Like I said, um, the lore in this seems really light to me. I mean, I'm used to fairly heavy lore in Skyrim and Elder Scrolls in general. I mean, there's whole books you can read within the game, many, many, many of them. I mean, they're not that long, but there's a lot of them. The character creation is pretty good in this. I spent 30 minutes creating this character. Um, I recorded all of that because I figured I might make a video about this, but I did do some cuts there, and I've got it running at like 3 times normal speed or something. So I'm not gonna put you through the whole thing in real time, but you can see me working on the character here. But it is a beautiful looking game. Um, you can see some of this countryside shots I'll include here. I mean, as far as just the beautiful graphics of the countryside and the environments and all of that, it's at least as good as Skyrim. And when I say that, I'm talking about a heavily modded Skyrim in 2022, not necessarily the first release. But I mean, that game holds up remarkably well, in my opinion, for a game that's been around over 10 years now. But the graphics here are beautiful. The artwork is just stunning. It is super difficult and really challenging. So if you're not up for that, if you're not up for giving that a go, then you should probably just give it a pass. But if you want to try, do it. I'm going to keep going. It is really frustrating, but I'm going to try. It's easier than Dark Souls, if that helps. But that's an awfully low bar to meet. I mean, I keep hearing about these controversies where a lot of people new to this, like myself, are just distraught over how hard it is. And it's like, well, why can't they just put in an easy mode? Well, I don't know if I need an easy mode, but I would certainly like a few difficulty levels. I mean, and there's a lot of people getting mad on both sides of this issue, and I'm sort of in the middle. I'm like, well, I get it. This is a Souls game. This is From Software, and that's their thing. Okay, but you know, uh, why not have it something you could toggle? You know, you could toggle it on and off. You could leave it at default. You could move it. I mean, one thing that's particularly frustrating about the whole thing is, uh, you know, I mentioned the sites of grace, where it's like the campfire little uh, plot device in Dark Souls. You can sit there and you can rest and, you know, get all your stats back up to normal. You can't be attacked while you're resting, which is kind of cool. It's like a safe space, quite literally a safe space. Uh, but what's particularly frustrating for someone coming from Skyrim, or certainly any other game other than From Software games, is the weird way this works, and it's not explained very well either. The documentation here is pretty non-existent. Yeah, you can go look up the videos. There's millions on YouTube, but a little hand holding at the start of the game, built in the game, would have been nice. I mean, you sit at this site of grace, and you get all your stats back up. You can level if you have experience points. They're called runes here. You got runes to spend. You can level your character up, and that's cool. But here I find out, well, you everything you killed since the last time you visited one of these is now back to life. Why in the world would they think that be a good game mechanic? I mean, I'm exploring a tunnel, and I get into some brutal fights with some, I guess they're dire wolves. That's what they look like to me. You know, managed to kill them all. I'm pretty beat up. I don't have much health left. So I'm like, well, you know, just around the corner, there's a site of grace. I'll just rest there, and then I'll continue on this tunnel. Okay, go do that. Come back. Wolves are all alive again. Really? So there was no point for me visiting the site of grace, because now I got to go through all that again, and then go around the corner and meet a boss level or near boss level thing. But I'm already weakened from the fight with the wolves. I mean, this makes no sense to me as an RPG or a game mechanic. Makes no sense, and certainly from a story aspect, it makes zero sense. Why would you resting make your enemies come back to life? Maybe an experienced Souls player or Elden Ring player can explain that one to me, but I don't get it. But for now, I'm still holding out, and I'm still trying. I'm going to try to get that magic sword, and maybe it'll help. It's bound to help, because can't get much worse than getting killed every time you turn around. But that's how I feel about it. If enough people want to see more of this kind of content, and you want to see me give an update, then maybe I'll do another video like this where I tell you that I rage quit or that I got better. So, see you in the next one.